I'll tell you 3 stories. First one was the story between me and my mother, which was of self-identity. These 3 things have phenomenal impact on yourself, on your growth, on your journey, on your travel. The self-identity part, when I got selected to join IIT Kharagpur, my mother had come to the railway station to see me off. And, last minute packings and all that. I was all of 16 years of age. And I was very scared. I didn't know where I was going. The first time in my life was leaving my parents and going out to a hostel. And 16 years was pretty young. So I was just waiting for the time the train will leave. Before the train leaves, my mother will come and she'll tell me, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, etc. But what she told me, youngsters, I'll tell you that after so many years back, I'm so proud that I can stand in front of youngsters and tell you what my mother told me so many years back. And I want to leave that, share that with you, so that if it impacts any one of you sitting in this room, it'll be worth it. And she told me, called me aside and said, Bikram, you're going to a place where everybody will be better than you. Learn to identify yourself. Learn to be yourself. And I want to tell you one statement which you should remember throughout your life, which is, if the world contains 10 people, it should be Bikram and 9 others. And if the world contains 100 people, it should be Bikram and 99 others. That's all she said. I get goosebumps when I'm telling you this. It was throughout my life, this is something I've lived with. I failed many times, I failed miserably, but I've not given this up. It's still with me, inside me. It's given me so much of inspiration, so much of self-identity about myself. I remember, it sounds funny, but I can share anything with my students, so you're like my students, I can say that I gave up hard drinks, alcohol, when I started business school. And the reason I told myself I'm giving that up was that I don't want my eyes to waver in front of so many youngsters when they're looking up to me. I have a responsibility towards them. So I can't do that, because they are looking at me, expecting a lot from me, and I have to necessarily respond to that. This statement of mine came from that statement of my mother. It was not my original. It couldn't have been my original. It must have been my mother's influence, that statement, which impacted these kind of statements coming up in our lives. So there are game changers in your life. This line was a game changer to me. Second comes the area of self-esteem. Another small story on my life on self-esteem. I was pretty good in studies and all that, so maths was my favorite. I used to listen to music and do maths, and it was fun and joy for me to do maths once upon a time. So everybody in the colony, we used to stay in Durgapur. So everybody in that colony, my father used to work in Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute, and there was a CMERI colony, and in that colony everybody knew that if anybody who's in class 10 or class 9, call Bikram Da and he'll teach you maths. So there was this guy, just opposite to our house he used to live, Bablu. I don't know where he is now. But he was giving his board exam, 10th or something, and his parents had gone to Calcutta, and he was alone. So I used to go to his house and teach him maths, and then sleep in the night in a mattress in Madur, Chodiye, and come back home the next morning, because our house was just opposite to their house. And those days I used to smoke. And smoking was very chivalrous for me. I mean, it's something like I used to keep the cigarette in my lips and talk, those young days when you try to show that you're very macho by having a cigarette on your lips. So I had all those fallibilities in me. So, and I still remember Will's filter, that red and white packet, navy cut, I used to smoke. So I went there to Bablu to teach, And I, obviously, as soon as I land up there, no, there's nobody there, parents are not there, only me and Bablu. So we get sit down, Matt's car. Kore, I will take out a Wills filter, light the cigarette, and, have a little bit show off in front of a younger friend of mine and teach him maths and come back. And I used to sleep. One morning when I got up, my mother used to go, after I come back home, mother used to go and, I was such a bad kid that I even didn't bother to bring back the mattress. My mother used to walk across the road and bring back the mattress. It's shameful, but that's how I was those days. So I think one day I did a blunder. I forgot to bring my cigarette packet. It was under the pillow. And I just came back. And when I came back, a little later, 2 hours later, I realized, oh shit, my cigarettes are there. And my mother has already gone to that house. So now what's going to happen? Because smoking in front of parents in our days when we were youngsters, it's a huge taboo. Huge taboo. You just can't. You'd be kicked out of the house if you smoke. It was as bad those days. So I was really, really in trouble. My mother came back. She didn't say anything to me. Then I had a room to myself, so I went in my room a little later and I put my drawer and I saw my cigarette packet and the matchbox very neatly kept there. So I really didn't know what to do. So I put it back and the whole day went, she didn't call me. And that was a high tension day for me. In the evening she called me and I knew it. So I went, she said, you sit down. Sat down. She told me something which I want to keep in your mind, and if it helps you in your life, it'll be great. I'll be very happy. She said, you are already old enough to know the hazards of smoking. So if you think I've called you to tell you to stop smoking, you're wrong. That's your problem. You should learn to deal with it. You're old enough to know whether you should or you should not. I have called you to tell you something else. You have no right to influence a youngster who hero worships you wrongly. And I will not allow you to do that. You smoke, you kill yourself, you die in the hospital bed, it's your problem. But you cannot influence a person who really looks up to you and show smoking as a way of becoming a hero, and if you are influencing a younger soul, that is not allowed. You have no right to do that. You just can't do that. That's all she said. Now you can go to your room. She didn't even keep me for a minute after that. I'm telling you verbatim after so many years. So you can imagine what impact it would have had in my life. So this gave me a self-esteem that when I'm standing in front of you, you have expectations from me. Sure, I'm ready. I have to be ready for that expectation to meet or attempt to meet up to your expectations about me. Whatever those expectations are, I do not know. And that gives you very, very strong self-esteem. Not so long ago, I've been working 30 odd years. So not so long ago, maybe 4 or 5 years back, I don't make too many direct business calls anymore. But when I was making those business calls, I can tell you another secret of mine. Before I enter a customer's office, I just stop and just put my fist like this and say, let's do a good job. That's it. Whom I was telling? I was telling it to myself. Nobody was listening. Nobody knew what I told myself. For 25, 30 years, every call I've done that. It gives you that extra energy to excel. It gives you that extra energy to perform on whatever you are. I'm a very firm believer that whatever you are good. You have no control over yesterday, but there can always be a better tomorrow. And that's the philosophy of life which we must live. We cannot say, because we did yesterday this, now I am no good, now I can't do that. No, you can. You can have a better tomorrow. You can change yourself. You can improve yourself. Why not? You need self-identity, you need self-esteem, and finally you need self-belief. Because if you have these three things with you, and these are not arrogance, none of the stories I have told you had any arrogance in it. It was completely learning, pure learning. So if you can create your life based on these things, to me, whether you're doing PhD or MBA or whatever, it's all part of the journey you're taking. You will know what to do with it. You will know what to do with your class. You will know how to respond and not respond. You will know how to do your projects, because it is you who wants to do what you want to do, not anyone else. And it is this self which is so, so vital in every successful person's life. And I would urge some of you, whoever thinks that what I am saying makes sense, please try and inculcate this in you. You have it in you. That's a starter. Let me just assure you, you have it in you. You don't have to question yourself. But start this process of feeling good about yourself. And feeling good again. I'm just warning, because I see a lot of TV stuff these days where youngsters get some electronic bites and talk all kinds of things on the television. That arrogance sounds very hollow. If you talk without knowledge, it shows. The other person might not say anything to you. That doesn't mean it didn't show. It showed. Don't do that. Just keep learning, keep learning, keep learning through this process, and feel good about yourself. And then whatever comes out of you, let me assure you, will be something which people will treasure, and you will see the journey is already getting made.